Okay, friends, I'm live at CFLW, the show for this Friday, December the 19th. Have we got this deep in December? I don't know how we got here. My goodness, we are less than a week away from Christmas. Coming up, we'll talk about the rest of your Friday forecast, your weekend forecast, and look ahead to that Christmas Eve and Christmas Day forecast for you guys as well. As always, CFLW, the show, is sponsored by the Lien Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys, offering free consultation and policy reviews. They cover the entire state. You get property damage of any kind. You've been through a car accident. They'll walk you through that insurance claim process. It's lienonmelaw.com for more information. Appreciate everyone tuning in on this Friday. I hope you are doing well. I hope you're enjoying a very mild forecast. We actually have a cold front that is moving through our area right now. It's going to be a dry front. There is not going to be a lot of cooler weather behind it. It'll be a little bit chillier tomorrow morning in some areas, but it's going to be a very windy rest of the afternoon across a lot of our areas. So we'll get into that for you guys as well. Hey, Nancy, good afternoon to you. I hope you're doing well. Wedgefield in the house at 82 degrees. Very mild, 82 degrees here in late December, 63% humidity. I'll call it mid-December, I guess. Light clouds, lovely day indeed to get into the garden. I hope you're doing well. Appreciate you, Nancy. Hey, Farrah, how are you as well? Good Friday afternoon to you. I hope you're doing fantastic. To all my friends, I appreciate you tuning in for the live stream. Thanks for finding enough out of this channel and the information I provide to spend part of your Friday afternoon with me, or if you're watching this in the recorded version, I appreciate that support. Let's get into what's going on across the area. Of course, we have our live cameras here at CFLW. Live look outside to Winter Garden now. As the front begins to push into Central Florida, we'll pick up a little bit in the way of some extra clouds. There's not a lot of lift in the atmosphere. There's still not a lot of moisture. So these are mainly going to be mid and upper level broken decks of clouds. So your thin, high wispy clouds, your cirrus clouds, some mid-level clouds are altocumulus clouds from time to time. That'll just be kind of working their way through. But you're still going to get a fair amount of sunshine as well. I mean, that's a beautiful shot from Winter Park as we look to the east-southeast from the Lien Law Cam there in Winter Park. Again, beautiful afternoon here. More sun than clouds in the majority of the area, but skies overall will be variably cloudy the remainder of this Friday afternoon. You can see the clouds roaring their way in with a bit of a breeze there in the Conway area, southeast side of downtown Orlando. Again, we're looking off towards the east. Notice there's not a lot of vertical development with the cloud coverage for today. Again, there's not a lot of lift in the atmosphere. And there's a bit of a cap at the middle and the upper levels of the atmosphere as well. So again, moisture-starved front coming through, which is common, if you will, for some December fronts. From time to time, we get some heavier rain, but from time to time, we also get these dry fronts to come in. The biggest question a lot of times with these fronts is, okay, do they provide no rain or little rain? And then what's the temperatures behind these fronts? Is there really actually cold air behind it? Live look outside to Lake Buena Vista and the attractions. Again, a great camera to keep an eye out on the attractions area. It's just a mile away from the Magic Kingdom behind that stand of trees. And again, mix of sun and clouds. Beautiful afternoon. Telling you right now, guys, it's mainly shorts and short sleeves. If you're not tolerant to a bit of a gentle breeze with the cooler air, you're going to want the light windbreakers. But otherwise, I think a lot of folks will be in the shorts and short sleeves for the remainder of the afternoon. Hey, Blue Goose, good afternoon to you, my friend. I hope you're doing well. We're at, what did I do there? Dook, dook. There we go. We're at 76 degrees with 67% humidity. A little bit cloudier up in St. Augustine and a little bit closer to the front. And again, the winds, they're going to be quite blustery from time to time this afternoon. Let me show you what these wind gusts look like here. Just one second. For some reason, my tablet, I think I have my laptop scooched too far over. This tablet's on top of my laptop and I can't see everything. All right, let's see here. Wind gusts, here we go. So these are your wind gusts in miles an hour over the last 6 hours. And again, we've been blustery out there. As the front has come through, the winds have freshened up to near 30 miles an hour from Jacksonville on over towards Gainesville, Keystone Heights. St. Augustine has had a fresh breeze coming through as well. And these winds will be pretty consistent the remainder of these early to mid-afternoon hours in that 20 to 25 mile an hour range across most of Central Florida. The biggest question, of course, is where the winds are are out of right now. Gainesville, they're out of the west. Crystal River, they're out of the west. In Orlando, they're still out of the west. Tampa, still out of the west. You get far enough south, and you're going to have a bit of a northwest wind, which is kind of interesting. But most of the winds along the boundary right now are out of the west, which should eventually begin to bring a bit of a northerly component to some of the wind. It's not going to be this extremely biting north wind coming out of this, but you can see when I put the wind arrows on, you have the west winds across all of central Florida right now, but there'll be a touch of a northerly component west, northwest, or north-northwest behind the front late this afternoon and especially this evening. There will generally not be due north winds, so they're not going to be pulling in the coldest continental air, right? These are due north winds. It's colder on land. It would be pulling in that here. We're going to be tapping into the relatively warmer waters of the Northeast Gulf, and it's going to get colder overnight. But again, are we talking about hitting freezing? No. But are we talking about a couple of areas that could slip into the 30s tomorrow morning? Yes. Briefly, and again, just a respite from this milder weather. Again, maybe you like the temperatures that we've had lately. I understand a lot of folks do. I've enjoyed it. It's been a little bit too warm for me, but you can clearly see on the boundary here in our map, there's your colder air coming in with the front. There's the front coming in. Depicted, you can even see a little bit of lift there in the Gulf, but there's not a lot of rain associated with any of this activity around this boundary. I'll put on the composite radar right now. I promise you that the radar is running. You can see some of the showers here. We could have a couple of showers develop along southeast Florida, skirt the Everglades, skirt the northern Keys, maybe portions of the I-95 corridor from West Palm to Miami, and then portions of the northwest Bahamas. But, we're already getting into a little bit of drier air associated with this boundary. When I bring on the dew points, again, very moisture-laden air south in the 70s. Our dew points are dropping. Right? Our dew points are dropping means drier air is coming in. So that's going to be the trend overnight. Everyone ready for the chunky man in the red suit? I'm ready. I'm ready. Indeed. Yes, Vera, I appreciate you mentioning everyone. If you don't mind taking a quick second, hitting that like button for me, I do appreciate that indeed. So let's look at the advisories that are into play right now. Let me pause this loop time here. So you actually do have some frost advisories with the colder air coming in, but north of our area, even north of Alachua County, includes kind of far northern areas here, the north central and northeast side of the state, just west of Jacksonville. There was a special weather statement for our far northern areas for the winds, because we did have some wind gusts in South Georgia and the I-10 corridor of Florida that hit 40 miles an hour earlier this morning. The winds haven't been as strong here, but it is likely to kick up some sea conditions. You do have small craft advisories for the offshore waters of Duval and St. Johns and Flagler counties right now, but those are the offshore waters. But potentially the nearshore waters could fall under a small craft advisory as well. If I go back over to we'll go infrared satellite imagery here along with our temperatures. Let's see here. And then I go out to the big perspective here, just show you what's kind of happening across the country, right? So what we've had is lack of significant cold fronts that have been moving across our area, right? I'm just going to take this density and drop it down a little bit so there's not as many temperatures here on this map. That is going to continue to be the case, all right, where we might get a push for a morning of cooler weather, but all of the Canadian air is locked up in the northern tier of the United States. And between now and Christmas Day, I don't see that changing. So we are in store for a mild and fairly dry forecast. Monday's show, I gave you my preview of what I thought could be happening in the days leading up to Christmas and Christmas Day itself. Of course, I've revised that forecast a little bit, and we're going to break that down for you guys. We'll go through the rest of the week. So if you guys have any plans, you can let me know. If you have any travel plans, right? Shout it out. You can say, hey, Rusty, I'm going to be, in Syracuse, New York on Christmas Day. And then I would say, why are you in Syracuse? Find somewhere warmer. I used to live in New York. I know friends who do. You don't want to be in Syracuse at Christmas. unless you have family, of course. But you get the idea. I'm happy to try and answer some of those questions as well for travel. But for the short term, yes, a little bit cooler air for us here. Not expecting a lot, though, to be sticking around. Let's go over to visible satellite imagery. You can clearly see again, the air is already drying out behind this. If I switch over here and show you the water vapor imagery, there's just a touch of moisture with our boundary coming in, but all of this red is drier air. So that's what's going to allow it to get cooler overnight. But we're not going to have north winds continuing, and the brunt of that colder air is not making its way in. As a matter of fact, more moisture-laden air in the plains coming off the Intermountain West will start to warm things back up very quickly. And if you enjoy the warmer conditions, I think you're going to enjoy the forecast I got for you here. Hey, Cole, how you doing? Breezy here. Cole, where are you? Let me know. Exactly, I appreciate that. Yep, breezy to windy at times, and there will likely be more wind early next week, especially along our East Coast. We're going to have more onshore winds. The winds today are out of the west, but for the majority of the weekend and especially early next week, I expect the winds to come back out of the east, and that should freshen up along the East Coast and keep things very mild there. Hey, Chessie, good afternoon to you. I hope you're doing well. More clouds and sun here in Spring Hill, 75 degrees and very breezy. Yep, appreciate that, Chessie. Again, that is going to be the story of the day with this dry cold front coming in. All the numbers that you see are wind gusts in miles an hour, winds mainly out of the west, but just not a lot of punch in the atmosphere to produce anything in the way of seeing rain or any cooler weather as well. So let's break down what's going to be happening. And then I've got your city-by-city forecast. We're going to look ahead to the Christmas forecast and talk about when we could potentially see the next freeze. I say next freeze. For most of us, it would be our first freeze, but we did have, if you guys remember the record cold in November, we did have some freezing conditions. So it would probably be a misnomer to say the first freeze across Central Florida, as some of you have already, if you only briefly, experienced a freeze here this year. All right, so let me get into, the first thing I want to do is bring up the HRRR model and go to temperature here. And then I'm just going to loop this up through 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. Just give me 1 second here. Let's see, that's not right. Oh, okay, hang on a second. No, Mr. Model, I said to her. Something was wrong. I was like, what's going on? It had brought up the wrong model. All right, so start now so you guys get an idea of how these temperatures are going to play out through tomorrow morning. All right, so this is a graphical depiction of the colder weather coming in overnight, right? HRRR model, high resolution, rapid refresh, updates hourly, very high res. And you can clearly see we slip into some colder weather. As is typical this time of the year, generally speaking, the farther north and west that you live tomorrow morning, the cooler it will be. But could there be a couple of spots that try and flirt with the 30s? It's not out of the question. When I zoom in, you're going to see most spots are in the low 40s, but it gets close. I'm not expecting there to be a lot of 30s. You get up to Gainesville, you get a little bit closer. I mean, there you go. You touch the Newberry area, basically right around 40. But for most of Central Florida tomorrow morning, I am expecting 40s. But don't be surprised if even in Orange County, some of the outlying areas, like Ocoee and Winter Garden, and the Hamlin area, and even off east, Nancy there in Wedgefield, 40s, a little bit cooler west, near Lake Apopka, 44, 45, 46, Spring Hill 44 tomorrow morning. Chilly start to the day, right? Jacket weather early on your Saturday morning. Maybe you're heading out to the farmer's market. Maybe you got some last minute shopping to do, something like that. Even along our coast, outside of the exact immediate coastline, you get inland just a mile or two, and you're likely to have temperatures as well in the 40s and lower 50s, but a little bit cooler the farther west that you go tomorrow morning. This is likely to be the coldest temperatures that we see through all of next week, including Christmas Day. I'm not expecting us to get this cold again anytime soon. It's a decent front. It's got decently cool weather for one morning, certainly nowhere near freezing. Winds are likely to stay up enough and temperatures mild enough where we're not going to have a lot of frost. Again, the frost advisories were even north of Gainesville. Could there be a couple of sheltered locations that see a little bit of frost or some elevated frost on, mailboxes and car windows? It's not out of the question, but this is not going to be a thick frost. It's not going to be a big problem in most areas. Again, we're not even getting into the upper 30s in most areas, and the coldest is probably going to be 40, 41 degrees in some of the outlying areas of Citrus and Marion, maybe even northern Sumter counties as well. Okay, so that's what it looks like kind of tomorrow morning. And then beyond that, I'm expecting things to continue to warm back up. So let me get you guys into the city by city forecast, just a couple of them. We'll start off here in Orlando over the weekend. Again, beautiful weather, dry, certainly more sun than clouds overall. From time to time, partly cloudy, from time to time, mostly sunny, and from time to time, full sunshine. But certainly on average, it's mostly sunny tomorrow through Monday. Again, chilly start in Orlando, downtown right around 50. Outlying areas of Orange County, mid and upper 40s, okay? 76 tomorrow afternoon, so it's a big climb in temperatures. And then it's just beautiful, mild conditions Sunday and Monday. We're up to 78 on Sunday. A bit of an easterly wind might pull in a degree or two cooler temperatures on Monday, but nothing appreciably different. 76. Morning lows come back up into the mid and the upper 60s. So still light jacket weather early in the morning, but the majority of the day, you can get away with the shorts and short sleeves if you want to, or the jeans and the short sleeve shirt, or some kind of light throw over your shirt. Nothing outrageous. Not a lot of wind. Not a lot of wind, except for the immediate coast. I'll say that on Monday, right? We'll have some wind along the immediate coast, but nothing that's going to make it feel any cooler than these temperatures, which are above average for this time of the year, right? We're starting to slip back into the mid 70s for average highs, even into the low 70s, and temperatures for morning lows are expected to be in the lower 50s in most spots. To Ocala we go. Again, this is going to be the colder start. 41 in Ocala, 40, 41, about the coldest I expect here in our area. But there'll be plenty of sunshine, especially as we get into the afternoon hours. And you've got a 32-degree temperature climb in Ocala tomorrow, up to 73. Could see a little bit of patchy fog with, again, a little bit more low-level moisture coming back in. And that could lead to a couple of areas of fog locally on Sunday morning. Temperature in the morning climbs 9 degrees up to 50, 76 the daytime high there. And then very seasonal temperatures in Ocala to kick off the Christmas week, 51 on Monday morning, and 76 will be the daytime high. And again, absent of any rain, very mild conditions, absent of any strong cold fronts that are likely to be moving through. As always, you got a question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comment section below. I'm happy to answer that. Appreciate you guys liking and subscribing while you're down there. Okay, so let's go over to the GFS and go long term here. I'm just going to bring up the rain snow composite. And let's see here. GFS. Reflectivity. Sometimes I wish these menus on my system were a little bit simpler. But we'll go out to Christmas night and loop this up. And I'm going to take you out to the national view. Okay? And by the way, let me be clear. Nope, I didn't do it. Try it again. I'm going to bring on the precip type composite. So you're going to see where there's going to be a little bit of snow. All right. By the way, some of the western snow resorts are snow starved. They have had to delay the start of their seasons, trying to get some snow to move in on Christmas week. But man, it has been rough for some of the western ski resorts. Just checking in on the chat. my Lean Law mug. All right. Hopefully this doesn't take too long to load. Sometimes when you do this loop of the composite, it's a slow process. All right, that works. Let's see here. Should be looping up. Acting a little funky on me here. Very slow. All right. Hopefully it'll pick up some speed here. You know, I'll give you the bottom line. There ain't nothing coming in here that's going to give us a big chance for any rain. Monday's show for the 23rd, the 24th, and Christmas Day, I had a very low chance for rain each day. The European model was picking up on a very weak front coming in and potentially stalling out somewhere across Central Florida. The new update to my forecast for the rest of this week is I don't see that happening any longer. We're likely to stay with a bit of an onshore breeze. This could potentially bring a few showers towards the coastline on the 23rd on Tuesday, but outside of that, I'm not expecting there to be any rain for the Christmas holiday, for Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, and likely we are going to see a fair amount of sunshine as well. So apologize for this thing not fully cooperating here. Let me see if I can go back to reflectivity and get this to loop up like I asked it to. Yeah, it was having an issue with this precip mix. So this is our area, void of any snow, but you get the idea that late Monday night and early on Tuesday, the easterlies could throw in a couple of showers along the coast. So this is Monday night. You see a little bit of green across I-95, but it's not much, guys. This could bring in a little bit of extra cloud coverage, potentially from time to time that marine layer. This is going to be Tuesday morning. Southeast areas, Brevard, Osceola, maybe Polk and Indian River counties could have a couple of light showers. And then after that, we're basically dry. A few showers could linger off of the East Coast, but you know, the GFS tries to bring in a little bit of moisture on Christmas morning along the immediate coast. I think if nothing else, this is just a little bit in the way of some cloud coverage. I think the atmosphere, just like today, is still too dry overall to really produce any shower activity on Christmas Day, but the easterly winds are likely to keep things very, very mild. There is no big push of colder air that is going to be moving in during the rest of the week, and not a strong enough cold front to really bring us any big shower activity as well. But again, I-95, US 1, A1A, mainly Monday night and Tuesday, a few light showers are possible, but it's only about a 20% chance. And I think the rest of the holiday into Christmas evening looks to be nice and dry. Hey, Red Bud, how are you doing? Appreciate you tuning in. Hope you're doing well today. All right. So let me show you guys, and by the way, new animated background. You know I'm only going to mix it up for you guys. Here is going to be your Christmas forecast. Looks like this with our electric rotating Christmas tree. For the 23rd, for Tuesday, 20% chance for showers, mainly along our southeast coast, Brevard, Indian River counties. That area will likely see partly to mostly cloudy skies, especially in the morning before things dry out. Inland locations are likely to see mostly sunny skies and no threat for any rain. Morning lows, upper 50s, daytime highs, upper 70s. For Christmas Eve, sunny, dry, mid 50s for morning lows, upper 70s for daytime highs. And again, I'm expecting sunny or mostly sunny skies on Christmas Day. Temperatures remaining above average. It is a mild Christmas. It's not a record by any means, being in the upper 70s, but we are above average temperature-wise. 55 the morning low on Christmas Day, 78 the daytime high. And, you know, for most areas, we're likely to stay around these numbers. The only exception would be along the East Coast, where morning lows, especially in southern sides of Volusia and Brevard County South, will be a little bit milder than this. Morning lows are likely to be around 60 degrees or even the lower 60s on Tuesday morning. But that's not a bad Christmas forecast. Now, of course, still going to have CFLW this show for Monday. So if there's any updates to this forecast, we'll do that on Monday's show. But we're getting close enough to this where something would really have to drastically change in the models, and from what I've been looking at this week, to appreciably change this forecast. I think we are warmer than average, for sure. I think we have very little opportunity for rain and a fair amount of sunshine the majority of the time. Now, one other thing to discuss is, okay, so when are we actually going to get the opportunity to get truly cold air in here, right? Well, every time I've shown you this graphic, the European and the GFS models keep trying to back up that opportunity. Again, we have had a freeze in some areas already this year with the record cold we had on that November morning. But when's the next chance? The next chance now appears to be on New Year's Day, right? January 1st in the morning. These would be your morning lows. Now look, for most of our area, we're not at freezing even on this map. Metro Orlando, including Sanford, upper 30s. Daytona Beach, Ormond Beach, same situation. It's northwest areas that generally colder spots on average that could flirt with that. Ocala 31, Crystal River 33, Inverness 32, the Lake Pan-Leesburg area 33, Spring Hill 33 degrees, even a little bit colder air coming into portions of northern Hillsborough County. Places like the Brandon area and Seffner and Plant City could sneak close to freezing on New Year's Day. That's about the next best chance that I see. Certainly over the next 7 days, I don't expect anything but temperatures above average, right? And then we'll finally start to break that trend after Christmas and try and get a little bit more significant fronts and a little bit colder air. But at this point in time, the next potential to see a freezing number anywhere in our area is likely not to happen until we get into New Year's Day. All right. So back out to the map here. If we look at the 6 to 10 day temperature time trend, right? Which, apologize, that's the outlook. You can clearly see that we continue to be dominated by very mild to warm weather across most of the United States. Now remember, this is the 6 to 10 day outlook. So this basically starts on Christmas, the day after Christmas, and then goes towards the end of the month, right? Towards the 29th. It's not just us, man. It is very warm. Only the West Coast, with a couple of storms coming along the immediate West Coast, and that cool current from the Pacific will keep things cool. And some of these systems are able to dip far enough south in latitude to sneak into New England. Other than that, the majority of the U.S. will enjoy a warmer than average Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and beyond that as well. And as we see the warmer weather, we see the cooler, the drier weather as well. Again, some Pacific storms are likely to bring in some rain and some snow, the high elevations of the Intermountain West, and then the rain along the immediate West Coast. But from the plains to the southeast, we are likely to stay drier than average. And again, we're a dry month anyway, but these fronts are lacking enough oomph to really provide a lot of lift to the atmosphere and to bring us exceptional rain. And the fronts aren't stalling out like they had been, to where they would provide a boundary to allow moisture coming in from the Gulf or the Atlantic to form along that and produce localized rain, which we've had earlier in December, but I don't expect that between now and basically the beginning of the new year. Okay, so back out to the big perspective. We'll bring on the temperatures one more time for you guys. Again, the highlight of today is a cold front. I'm gonna have to use those quotes, right? Cold front is working through the area right now. Temperatures are falling off a little bit behind it as we speak. They're not gonna be outrageously cooler for the rest of the afternoon hours. Temperatures again up north are into the lower 70s, but we have been able to sneak into a lot of upper 70s and low 80s as this boundary begins to move in. We'll we'll all see pretty gusty winds the remainder of the afternoon hours, 20 to 25 mile an hour winds from time to time. These are all going to be west winds right now. They'll eventually pull out of the west-northwest or north-northwest overnight. And as winds relax and the drier air comes in, that's when we get the cooler start to our Saturday morning. Does anyone have any specific questions about the forecast, either for today, the weekend, or through Christmas Day? Please let me know in the comments section below right now. I'll go back over to the chat and check it one more time. Again, I appreciate all of you guys tuning in for the live version of our live stream. I appreciate you guys taking a quick second and hitting the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to CFLW, please do so. Remember, this is a live only channel, live during Monday and Fridays for CFLW the show, and of course anytime there's impactful weather here in Central Florida. What about snow? Joke. Boy, I wish. Gonna have to go probably pretty darn far north, Chessie, to get there. I mean, seriously, it may be a fairly non-white Christmas for a lot of the U.S. Cold in the Northeast, but not a lot of snow. Okay. Friends, I appreciate you tuning in. Please remember that CFLW is sponsored by the leading law firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys, covering the entire state. They'll walk you through the insurance claim process so you get wind, hail, hurricane damage, flooding, you've been in an auto accident. Check them out by going to their website. It's leanonmelaw.com for more information. Enjoy the very mild weather for the weekend ahead. Should be beautiful. You need to do some last minute shopping. Nancy wants to do some additional gardening. You can get outside, enjoy it, get that round of golf in, whatever you might want to do. I'll see you guys Monday at 1 o'clock for the latest edition of CFLW The Show. Obviously, we're going to be highlighting the Christmas Eve and Christmas Day forecast. I'll let you know what changes I might be bringing to that forecast and when we might actually start seeing some colder weather beginning to move in. Friends, again, as we leave, appreciate you taking a quick second and hit that like button and subscribing. Have a great rest of your Friday and into the weekend, and I'll see you on Monday for the latest edition of CFLW The Show. Until then, take care.